AkronHipHop.com, the ReporterNewspaperOnline.com. The devastation of family secrets and its effects. Some people say those things are hidden in places like books. Some people say they're hidden in places behind closed doors. Brother Prophecy is going to open up some of those doors tonight for us about how family secrets can devastate a family. Speak on that, God.
All right, well, y'all know me, Mr. Prophecy, Martin Luther X, Prophecy Dorsey. All of them are one and the same. So, one of the things that's really hindering our culture and one of the things that's actually keeping us from growing as a people is we got too many damn family secrets. And the way that we've been trained to deal with these family secrets is to just ignore them and hope that they go away. While yet there's an erroneous darkness that continues to grow in our generations because of these family secrets. We tend to believe that if we expose the secrets that we deal with in our families, like incest, molestation, abuse, physical, mental, if we expose these things, then somehow we're destroying our family instead of helping it. But let me help you out by giving you an opportunity to be free. I myself, as a result of family secrets, walked in a large amount of rage for a long time. And the first moment that I began to have to embrace a family secret was when I was around 8 years old. And I had a cousin from Dayton, a male cousin, slept in my brother and my own bed. Me and my brother slept in bed together at that time. Because my mom, she could only afford to put us in one room at the time. We just had a 2-bedroom, and my sister slept in one bed, and we slept in the other. But this cousin happened to sleep with me and my brother one night, and he inappropriately began to touch me in places that were inappropriate for any male to touch another male without his permission. Now, that being said, I am not about to place this on the LGBT community and make them feel like this is something that's pointed toward them. But my cousin was a flaming homosexual. He was in the closet about it, but he was flaming, and the reality is he ended up inappropriately, misappropriating his ways toward me. And it put me in this place of rage because he was one of my favorite cousins. And it trained me in a way at that time to believe that any inappropriate encounter I had with any of my relatives was normal. And so I went through a myriad of different encounters with different relatives that had me kind of shook in the mind on how to approach love and everything else. And it enraged me. How did I escape this rage? What made me actually strong enough to overcome this rage? And see, I know a lot of men are uncomfortable with exposing things like this, but if we don't begin to expose things like this, we cannot heal ourselves enough to be what we need to be in these relationships and in these homes and in these families.
That's right.
And our family units can't grow strong if we keep on holding on to these dark family secrets that have us hindered in our minds. We don't even believe that we're worthy of the love that's being presented enough to even understand if we're getting love or not.
Come on now.
Because if a woman is loving us in a way that we think is conducive to what we grew up in, then we think that that's love. And she might not be loving us at all. She might just be going off of the same type of messed up background that you're going off of,
right,
and thinking that that's normal. She may be as dysfunctional as you are, but dysfunction is what you grew up in, so it's what you're comfortable with.
Come on, man, speak on that,
but
man.
What I will say is this. Please stop believing in your mind that holding these secrets is protecting your family, because it's actually hindering your family and it's actually continuing with a generational curse. And I'm grateful that me and some of my relatives sat down and discussed these issues with one another, whether they were inappropriate from me or whether it was inappropriate from them, how we received it or how we gave it. Kissing cousins, all that type of stuff is real. Incest is real in these families, man, especially in our culture, because we've been raised up to believe that we only have ourselves anyway, so we take out all of our curiosities and our misappropriated ways from even back when slavery was, when it was legitimate for slave owners to just come in and take your daughters and rape them and take your sons and rape them. So, when these things started to happen in our own families, we started hiding them because we were ashamed of what it really meant to the black culture. We're not supposed to be those type of people. But these type of people exist because every villain was once a victim. Every villain was once a victim. So when you're ready to hang somebody out to dry, you don't know if you're actually getting to the source of the problem by hanging them up or not. But what you have to realize is you still can't hide it. You can't hide it because you got to confront that person and you got to confront that situation. What's going to free you, though, is being able and willing to forgive that person. Notice I said free you, because a lot of people think that in forgiving something like that, you're freeing that person up. But in all actuality, even the good books say, in order to heap hot coals upon someone's head, you have to kill them with kindness. You have to render them into a place of forgiveness that causes them to feel convicted enough to break down to the source of that issue. They'll never break down to the source of that issue if it's not any light exposed on it. I have a relative who I had to forgive some other relatives for forgiving because I was so, upset by the fact that they forgave this dude and that they allowed this dude to come around even after they knew he raped several women in my family. He didn't never apologize to not one of them. And, one of those relatives is deceased now, and that was my sister. And, I'm not going to get into too much detail about that because I have to honor my sister, even in death. But what I will say is I thank God for her and her strength because she was able to forgive all of those things before she moved on. And she taught me and my other siblings that keeping those negative emotions inside due to having to keep these dirty, dark secrets is what birthed cancer in her. Literally. These emotions, this pain, this non-exposure to a terrible tragedy that was done to her caused her to internalize that pain until it became a physical manifestation in her body and took her away from here. And what I'm telling you is, give your family a chance by being willing to sit down and expose some of these issues so we can not condemn the person who has become a villain as a result of being a victim of these issues, but so that we can enlighten these persons and get them the proper help that they need, because all they need really is love too. I know it sounds crazy because you think, how can you love a pedophile? How can you love a rapist? How can you? But I actually work in I'm actually the operations manager of a program, and I'm gonna tell you, this can't be nothing but God, because the biasness that I could have toward these men, being one who was misappropriated as a child, the biasness I could have toward these men could be detrimental to the program. But the reality is, I house people who are embody sex offenses. I house those type of people in a program. And I have to be able to go beyond my bias and see these men as redeemable people so that I can help them to progress into their new life and to be reacclimated into society. But I would never be able to do that if I was so embodied by my own dark secrets that I wasn't free enough to see a difference. What freed me up to see a difference is, I'm gonna go back to that situation I had with my cousin as an 8-year-old child. At the age of 16, 8 years later, he encountered me again in the same type of situation where he had to come and stay the night with us and slept in the bed. I ended up putting my hands on the man and letting him know, I remember what you did to me. But what ended that, while I'm literally putting my fist to his face, he screamed out, my father was raping me. And it brought a spirit of forgiveness upon me that made me lift him from the ground, hug him and tell him, I forgive you, man. But what I'm gonna tell you is, don't never let me find out that you touched another child inappropriately. If you wanna be on that side of the fence, make sure you're doing something with somebody who's consenting for you to do something to them.
Come on now.
Because other than that, you are creating in you a monster that can do nothing but be put away to be controlled.
You better say it, brother.
So if you don't wanna be that type of monster, make sure the next time you touch anybody that they're consenting, whether it be the same sex or the opposite sex. And if you don't hold these secrets, if you be willing to sit down and have some type of dialogue about it, some type of intervention about it, you will set so many people in your family free. And all of these distraught and dysfunctional relationships that are being birthed out of our families will stop being birthed because they'll learn how to love from a pure place and not from a broken place.
Come on now.
Like my man would say, y'all better feel me before they kill me.
Peace.